Inflation is wrecking your personal wealth. Fortunately, the good news is that you can take proactive steps to help protect your wealth today and hold you in good stead for the future. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 ways you can reduce your personal rate of inflation. I'll also work out our personal inflation rate and how you can calculate yours too. Inflation is the rate at which prices increase over time, and it's a key indicator of economic stability. It's important to understand inflation because it affects everyone, from individuals to businesses, and can have a significant impact on the economy. When prices are higher, your money doesn't go as far. If your money is in a savings account, paying less interest than the rate at which prices are rising, i.e. inflation, then it is effectively losing value. For example, £1,000 in savings offering 5% would earn £50 in interest over a year. If, like me, you need numbers to really illustrate the point, let's see what different inflation rates would do to your savings over time. 10% inflation after 1 year. Your £1,000 pot adjusted for inflation would be worth £909. After 10 years, that pot is effectively worth just £386. 5% inflation after 1 year equals £952. After 10 years, £614. 2% inflation after 1 year, £980. After 10 years, £820. While some inflation is healthy, typically around a 2% annual increase in prices, a rapid growth or decline can have detrimental effects on the economy, especially when wages and benefits don't rise at the same rate as the things you buy. The Bank of England has an inflation target of 2%, set by the government and as measured by the Consumer Price Index, or CPI. It measures the average change from month to month in the prices of goods and services purchased by most households in the UK. The government uses the CPI as the basis for its inflation target and for uprating the state pensions and state benefits. CPIH is another measure calculated by the ONS. It stands for the Consumer Price Index, including owner-occupiers' housing costs. It came in at 3.5% in December 2024. Why CPIH is not used when it appears to be an ultimately more comprehensive measure of inflation is a topic for another video. Now we know what inflation is and why it matters, I'm going to show you 7 ways you can lower your personal rate of inflation and reduce its impact on your personal wealth. Number 1, track your expenses and make a budget. Understanding where your money goes helps you quickly identify areas you can cut back during an inflationary period. Rising costs can lead to an over-reliance on credit, which becomes harder to repay if interest rates also rise. And careful budgeting helps ensure that you're not dipping into those savings unnecessarily, or reducing your ability to invest for the future. Now we know why it's important to track your expenses and budget, let's get started. First, work out your income and expenses. Start by listing your different income streams, fixed expenses such as your rent, utility bills, transport costs, and then your variable expenses such as groceries, entertainment, and holidays. Divide these expenses into needs, wants, and savings. During high inflation, it's sensible to focus more on your needs rather than your wants and adjust your saving goals accordingly. How you record these is up to you. Excel or Google Sheets can help manually track spending and categorize expenses. Budgeting apps such as Emma, Plum, You Need a Budget, or Snoop offer an unbiased insight into your spending trends. Most of these offer a free service, but to unlock their premium features, you'll need to pay. Just make sure that you'll be taking advantage of these features before you sign up. You should regularly review your monthly statements or receipts to identify areas of spending you can cut down, as prices continue to change. High inflation can lead to job insecurity or unexpected expenses. It's therefore important to allocate part of your budget to an emergency fund to cushion against those uncertainties. This is typically 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Number 2, housing and household services. It's no surprise that housing and household services and owner-occupier housing costs contribute to the largest component of CPIH. Owner-occupiers housing costs include the expenses associated with owning, renting, furnishing, maintaining, and living in a home, such as council tax, materials and services for maintenance and repair, water supply, and sewage collection. Ways that you can reduce your personal rate of inflation here if you're renting could include negotiating your monthly rent. Speak with your landlord about freezing or reducing rent. If you've been able to demonstrate you've been a reliable tenant, this may encourage them to be more flexible. Moving to a cheaper area. Research areas with lower rent while considering transport and other living costs. Sharing your house rental. Sharing a house or flat with someone you get on well with can significantly reduce rent and associated housing costs. Considering a longer term lease. Some landlords may offer lower rent for tenants willing to commit to longer tenancy agreements. On the other hand, if you're a homeowner, you could consider looking for better mortgage deals if your fixed term deal has ended, Whilst mortgage rates typically rise during times of inflation, a lower interest rate can save a lot. Renting out any spare rooms you may have to a well-vetted lodger, or by using platforms such as Spare Room or Airbnb. DIY wherever possible. Minor repairs, gardening and cleaning yourself rather than paying someone else to do it. Or for recurring services which you can't do yourself, try reducing the frequency of the work, negotiate a better rate, or find an alternative provider. Shopping around for the best deals on broadband, TV and insurances. Loyalty to companies often counts for very little these days, and you should always double check just before accepting the renewal quote. With household purchases, how about buying less stuff for your home? And if you do need to buy something, consider picking it up secondhand using sites like Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree. In a similar vein, you could always sell unwanted items via these platforms. Or if you're handy, you could always fix items before buying new ones. Bob the Builder had this spot on with his reduce, reuse and recycle attitude. But don't forget that housing and household services also include the big one, energy. Number 3, energy efficiency. Inflation often drives up the price of energy, making it more expensive to heat and power your home. Monitoring energy consumption helps you stay within your budget by identifying areas where you can cut back, promotes mindful consumption and contributes to energy efficiency. It's also good for the planet. If you've been with your energy provider for a while, it's worth shopping around via a comparison website to find cheaper energy deals. Smart meters can help you access time of use off-peak tariffs, which offer cheaper slots during certain hours. We have one which sends half-hourly electricity consumption data to our electricity provider, which allows us to charge our electric car overnight at a super cheap rate of 6.7p per kilowatt hour. More on this low-cost motoring coming up. Improving your energy efficiency is pivotal. There's no point paying hundreds or thousands of pounds each year for your energy and letting it go to waste. Ways you can do this include installing draft proofing, adding more insulation, installing a smart thermostat so you heat the rooms that need heating rather than the whole house, and by naturally switching things off when not needed. There are government schemes which improve insulation or reduce energy costs, such as the Energy Company Obligation, ECO, and the Warm Home Discount for those who are eligible. If you own your own home and are planning on staying there for at least the next 10 to 15 years, you could even consider installing solar panels and battery storage like we have. We export our excess solar for 16.5p per kilowatt hour during the day and charge the battery during the cheaper 6.7p per kilowatt hour off-peak slot, which can then be slowly discharged back to the house to prevent us needing to use expensive peak time electricity. Number 4, transport. Another big ticket item that contributes a large proportion to CPIH is transport. The total cost of car ownership soon adds up. By the time you take into account fuel, insurance, road tax, maintenance repairs, parking, and more recently any congestion zone charges. And that's even before we've considered any depreciation. Could you ditch the car and jump on public transport, or even consider walking or cycling for shorter distances? If possible, negotiate some work from home days to reduce your commuting costs, like the 28% of UK workers who work in a hybrid model. If you do need to own and use a car, there are several things that you can do to reduce the cost of ownership. Shop around for the cheapest fuel. Often Costco will have cheaper fuel than most other petrol stations. You'll just need to work out whether the savings to be had outweigh the annual cost of membership, and the temptation to go into the shop and come out with things you had no intention of buying. Carpooling is a great way to know your work colleagues, spend more time with friends or neighbours, and of course split the cost of commuting. Learn to service, maintain and carry out basic repairs on your vehicle. Downsizing your vehicle or considering an electric vehicle could improve its efficiency, road tax and maintenance costs. And that's exactly what we did. We sold our second car, a 2014 plate Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid electric vehicle or PHEV, for £7,300 and bought this 2017 Nissan Leaf all-electric vehicle for £3,500. And the best bit is that the total cost of ownership for this Nissan Leaf is about £1,000 cheaper per year than the Mitsubishi Outlander. This is mainly down to the significantly cheaper running costs, charging at home on a cheap off-peak tariff with E.ON at 6.7p per kilowatt hour and servicing, which I can do myself. I also looked for a Nissan Leaf which was registered before the 1st of April 2017, therefore avoiding the £190 per year road tax payment that electric cars registered after this date incur. And as a result, I'll only be paying £20 for the year. Number 5, review your non-essential spending. Non-essential spending includes items you can live without, like dining out, entertainment, luxury purchases, and vacations. Essential spending, on the other hand, includes rent, mortgage, groceries, utilities, insurance, and medical expenses. Inflation increases the cost of essential goods and services. This leaves less room in the budget for non-essential purchases. Reduced non-essential spending allows you to allocate funds towards necessities and savings, which can be particularly critical during periods of economic uncertainty to achieve financial security. When setting a monthly budget, you can implement the 50-30-20 rule. The 50-30-20 rule is a budgeting method that divides your after-tax income into 3 categories: 50% needs or essential items, 30% wants or non-essential items, and 20% savings like emergency funds or investments. During high inflation, you need to reduce the wants category, focusing on your needs first. If you have some money left over, then allocate them carefully to non-essential activities that bring you the most value or joy. Whenever you do need to spend any money, always look whether you can get it for less, either through shopping around, using vouchers, coupons or discount codes, or claiming some cashback through sites like Quidco or Top Cashback. I've been using Quidco for a number of years now and have had over £450 back in cashback just by pausing before making that purchase and doing it through Quidco. This video isn't sponsored by Quidco, but I'll drop a link in the video description box below where you can get some additional cashback into your account if you sign up too. One easy way I've reduced my impulsive purchases, namely via Amazon, my Achilles heel, is to add the item I'm thinking of buying to my wish list and then give it 48 hours before returning and deciding whether to buy it or not. I've also started looking at Facebook Marketplace to see if I can get the item pre-loved, which is often significantly kinder to my wallet and the planet. Like this IKEA bookcase, which we bought for half the price it would be new, and we didn't even have to assemble it. Win-win. Number 6, pay off bad debt. Getting rid of bad debt frees up cash flow when everyday expenses like food, energy and housing are rising. Inflation often leads to rising interest rates as central banks tighten monetary policy to control inflation. Variable rate debts like credit cards or adjustable rate mortgages can become significantly more expensive. If you're using savings or fixed income to pay debts, delaying repayment can cost more as the real value of your money erodes. Now we know why it's important to pay off bad debt during periods of high inflation. How can you achieve this? Start by listing your debts and prioritize those with the highest interest rates, particularly credit cards or personal loans. Accelerate payments on variable rate debt and reduce the principal before interest rates climb further. Cut non-essential expenses and allocate the extra funds towards debt repayment. Setting up automatic payments to ensure consistency in paying down your debt and avoiding late fees or penalties can all help with this. During inflation, wages might rise in certain industries. Look for opportunities to increase income through side hustles or freelance work, applying the extra earnings towards debt. Selling items you no longer need on platforms with minimal or no seller fees can help contribute to chipping away at these debts. Reducing high interest debt allows you to redirect funds towards investments or necessities that retain or grow in value. Number 7, invest. As we've already identified, inflation erodes the purchasing power of your money over time. Investing during an inflationary period is a way your portfolio can stay ahead of inflation to preserve and grow your wealth. The simple explanation for this is that as prices rise, companies can also raise their own prices to compensate. By buying shares in the companies themselves, you can use this to keep pace with prices. However, investing in assets such as shares comes with the risk that you could lose some or all of your money. To reduce the risk, it is best to avoid being exposed to a small number of assets or sectors. A good way to diversify is to buy into investment funds. Funds can invest in various assets so you can spread your money across bonds, property, and shares in different sectors. It's also often better to stay in the market for a few years at least, which can lower the risk of short-term price movements affecting your overall returns. Whilst this isn't investment advice, and you'll need to do your own research, we invest 90% of our money in low-cost global index funds, and around 10% in individual stocks, which have given us an annual return of around 14% and 20% respectively. This money is already set aside in our monthly budget and goes out automatically, taking much of the psychological barriers of parting with this money in the short term. Now at the beginning I said I'll work out our personal rate of inflation and show you how you can work out yours too. For this I'll be using this tool from the ONS and I'll drop the link directly to it in the video description box below. To get started, you'll need to enter some details about your household situation. It's important to know that this website doesn't store any of the information, and you don't need to input your income if you don't want to. You can then either complete the quick calculator or use their detailed version with more spending categories, including communication, transport, leisure, and other costs and expenditure. Groceries. All our food and drink, personal care items and non-grocery items are bought at the supermarket and come to around £400 a month. Housing. We managed to pay off our mortgage in our early 30s, our council tax is £340 per month, energy bills around £100, but don't forget that includes charging our electric car. Communication. We pay £18 a month for 3 SIM-only contracts with Lebara and £29 for fibre broadband internet with Virgin Media. Transport. We've bought our cars outright. Our non-electric family vehicle consumes £77.50 worth of diesel a month, and other motoring costs come to £135 a month. Leisure, TV licence and my Now TV Sky Sports subscription to keep up with the best from the Premier League comes to around £40 per month. Eating out £20 and entertainment £24 a month. And if you think that's low, we tend to like dragging our kids on free outdoor adventures, hence the low leisure costs. And finally, other costs and expenditure. £25 on healthcare, £10 on education, £30 on clothes and footwear, £40 on insurance and financial services, and £100 on other expenditure. You'll notice it has been adding up our household monthly expenditure as I've been going along. Click next and it will give you a breakdown of your results, how it compares to the UK inflation rate over the last few years, what is driving your personal rate of inflation, and your biggest cost increases. Our personal rate of inflation is 2.3%, which is 1.2% less than the current CPIH rate of 3.5% at the time of making this video. Driving that is mainly our council tax rate, holidays, which we know is non-essential, but we tend to prioritise experiences rather than stuff, and probably costs us more than most given that we're a family of 6. Groceries, other motoring costs, and water and sewage. And there we have it, 7 ways you can reduce your personal rate of inflation and how you can calculate your own. I'd be really interested to know what your personal rate of inflation is, so let me know by dropping yours in the comment section below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and check out some of my other videos appearing on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.